Athletes and fans around the world, welcome to another episode of Prime Time Muscle. I'm Tim Wilkins, joined by Judge from around the world, Tarek Elgindi.
Great to be here, Tim. We have a very important subject. I'm passionate about it. We brought the best one in the business to also contribute. This is going to be a good one.
8-time Miss Olympia, icon of the sport, and now promoter.
And promoter.
That's
Linda Murray. That's right. I'm on the front end, on the back end, in the middle. I know everything that's going on everywhere.
Well, it is great to have you with us.
Thank you.
And this show is a lot of hot topics in one.
Yes.
This one, and it can be kind of you and I are of this generation, an ABC after school special.
Yes,
So grab your teenagers and sit them down.
Absolutely.
It's a good opportunity to talk to the kids.
Very important. Everybody must watch.
I am making light, but I'm not, because this Linda, things have changed, have they not? I mean, let's not make any illusions or any aspersions that the sport has not always had some enhancements to it.
Absolutely.
And
always has.
My jealousy from today until back then, was that maybe the substances were pure sources from labs in Eastern Germany or Europe, Czechoslovakia, as opposed to some guy who knows a biker who has a hotel room at a Motel 6. And you don't know where your stuff is coming from.
Yeah.
So even the the less toxic substances do have a component to them that come with a risk factor that wasn't there in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Absolutely. You know, I'm going to start first by saying that I think, back in the day, we had it was small cliques, right? We didn't have social media. We didn't have all of this, even though information is great, but we didn't have this need to listen to everybody. We didn't have the pressures of what the athletes see on social media. So for me, I think that I want to say coaching and the noise, the athletes get distracted. Back in the day, you'd have maybe 5 or 10 bodybuilders in a gym. We had information and it was contained and we were focused, and you learned the foundation.
Yeah.
So I think that's really key. It's key. It's key to success.
So now let's talk about some specific substances that maybe shouldn't be on the average supplementation cycle of lifters in general, much less bodybuilders and kids.
Tim, I always tell people, the first and foremost, where are you getting the information, right? Where are you getting your foundation? Everybody. I don't care if you do football. I don't care if you do jiu-jitsu, bodybuilding. I don't care if you don't do anything. You should be getting your blood work done, okay? That's to prevent something from happening. That's to check your body. The second thing is you should have the assistance of a medical professor, okay? Not somebody in the internet who has said, I've created champions. No, a medical professional who's going to look at your blood work and then is going to say, okay, if this is what you want to do, you need to do this with a lot of caution. You need to do this. I need to see your blood work in this and that. I just talked to Dr. Guillermo Escalante. He's one of the advisors for the National Academy of Sports Medicine, who's now attached to the NPC. And he goes, Tarek, the problem is, like Linda said, we're getting the information from the internet. Nobody's focused about the truth or the foundation. DNP, okay? I asked Dr. Guillermo Escalante about DNP, okay? And if you have the medical term is dinafetronol, something to that effect, but everybody says DNP. And this is exactly what he said to me, okay? He said, Tarek, this is the equivalent of boiling yourself to death, okay? Boiling yourself to death, okay? So if you're a competitor and somebody tells you to take this DNP, they're pretty much telling you to boil yourself to death. You should not do it. It's not legal. It's the equivalent of you getting fentanyl and seasoning your chicken. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're stupid if you do it. You're irresponsible. If you're over 18, you're going to pay the consequences. And if you are a coach that's recommending some of this stuff, you are also responsible because you're committing a crime. The thing is not legal and can kill people. It's it's as dangerous as some of these drugs that we talk about it. Fentanyl that kills people. Do not take this DNP. I'm going to do a feature with Dr. Guillermo Escalante where we go exactly into what it does to your body. But from his words, he said, Tarek, this is the equivalent of boiling yourself to death.
Did you get a chance to run past any other ones with him?
Well, we talked about
Trenbolone.
We talked about diuretics.
Yeah.
We talked about water. And let's talk about diuretics, right? Because it's the whole thing. I get text messages from competitors that tell me that they've been taking diuretics for 4 or 5 days. 4 or 5 days before the competition. And then they go, on the day on the competition, I took the stronger one. Listen, I'm quoting Dr. Guillermo Escalante. He goes, Tarek, I was a bodybuilder. I competed for most of my life. I am the assistant dean at Cal State San Bernardino. And I'm telling you right now, you do not need diuretics to compete in bodybuilding. If you do your diet and you do your cardio and you eliminate the body fat, you're not going to need diuretics. Absolutely. Why do people take diuretics? They take diuretics because they're not ready. They're not ready and they go, let me take this pill that's going to make me ready. And most of the times it messes up your physique. You feel horrible and you're in danger. Don't do it. This is dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, is this a...
No question about it. I mean, basically, you have to train, diet out. If you're taking a pill or you're trying to take a diuretic or you're trying to eliminate water, then you're not ready. You're not ready. You're trying to, if you're not ready, or if you are ready, if there's nothing broken, there's nothing to fix.
A lot of people will squeeze and go, oh, I got to pull water. You got to pull fat.
Yeah. Water is so very important to the body.
And to the muscles.
It's so very important to the body and to the muscles. We just had this conversation with William Bonac, and he talked about the diuretic, and he talked about what he learned is that he looked great, and then he just had this thing where he felt like, oh, maybe I should do this. Maybe I could look a little bit better. Maybe I should take. And he talked about how his muscles are fuller now and that he's learned that that's just not necessary. So if you're ready, you don't need to manipulate your body. And one of the ways that people die the quickest is always about diuretics and it's always about lack of water.
Kidney
going
failure.
4 days.
Yes.
That's it.
So, Linda and Tarek, I take a fair amount of trash with people saying, well, you're not a pro bodybuilder and your claim to fame is emceeing. From that podium, at all levels, from the NPC to the IFBB Pro League, I've seen people left and right go into diabetic shock because they're on some semblance of insulin.
Yes.
On show day? Insulin on show day. You weren't given, even if you were, you may or may not have been given, which I've seen twice in the last year, you weren't given the proper protocol of what foods to eat to keep your body from going into shock. The diuretic shock, I've literally been put behind a curtain to announce the names, opened the curtain for a competitor who I saw fading out on stage, and as I closed the curtain, they collapsed, and the medics had to come. I've seen it all from that podium and from backstage. Diuretics, insulin, let's go to DNP, which is boiling yourself from the inside out.
Wow.
Tren, and here's the problem. Tren already has its toxicities, but so many kids, and by kids I mean, I'm old, I'm 56. Kids under 30, you're doing tren at this age?
I know.
How about a little cardio?
Yeah.
How about cut your carbs?
How about learning how to weight train, how to learn and connect with your body? What happens when you do 5 reps with heavier weight? What happens when you do 15 repetitions with amount of weight? What happens when you take longer periods of time of rest between sets? Because this is not track and field who runs the fastest. It's about really being smart.
Well, I'm going to wrap that because that is the ultimate segue to get to our next segment. You sure you don't want to stay with us forever? You sure you don't? You sure you have to go?
I'd love to be here forever.
I hope to God she stayed with us.
Oh, Your nemesis. You love him. It's so crazy. I've seen it. No, it's very important that you not only research this, but research everything that a guru or a coach or an influencer is telling you they're taking, and look at the side effects. Don't just look at the benefits of. Look at the side effects of, and try to weigh your risk and say, all right, what level am I on? Am I going on a cruise? Am I going for an NPC local title? Is it nationals? Is it my pro debut? Mm-hmm. And start to think to yourself, what is my ultimate goal here? And what am I going to do to my body in the long run? Mm. Just put it out there, everybody. All right, when we come back, we have no better person with us, Tarek, than Linda Murray to talk about how to build muscle. And we're going to do that in the healthiest way possible when we come back on Primetime Muscle. And we're back. And it's always important to know that while we are covering the facts of many bodybuilding competitions, even the insights we give to the competitors, their futures, what they need to do, and when we talk about substances and things like this, it's an opinion show. You're going to agree, you're going to disagree. When we talk about these doctors, it is in their medical opinion or their professional opinion. Very important, Tarek.
My opinion is that, like I said, you should do blood work. That's my opinion.
Absolutely.
And my opinion is that you must have a professional, a medical person, a doctor that's certified by the board to look at the things to prescribe. That's my opinion. And with all due respect, if you think that you don't need a doctor, that you don't need blood work, I think you're irresponsible. I think you're irresponsible. You know?
So that said, now we're talking with or without substances. There's a healthy way to do this. Linda, let's just start with the foundations for someone watching, or even someone advanced that's thinking, I'm not getting the maximum amount out of my workouts and my diet. What are the building blocks you would put in?
The building blocks. I mean, first of all, just weight training and understanding how bodybuilders train. Like really understanding that this is bodybuilding. It's not, you're not a sprinter, you're not a long distance runner, you're not doing cross training. And bodybuilding, what we do is very smart. So you have to first learn, okay, how many body parts? I'm going to train my body part once per week and do that consistently. So you figure out, does that work for me? And if then it does not, then you can but you have to do that consistently. So we're bodybuilders. We train smart. We understand the difference between low repetitions. Am I doing 10 to 12 reps or higher reps? I learned, for example, my first run as Ms. Olympia, I thought that I couldn't get any more development in my chest and my biceps. And what I learned when I worked with a trainer, and this is later, much later, we're talking 10 years later, that I was not really like training heavy. Like I didn't know how many reps I could do, 5 reps with that maximum weight.
Yeah.
And from doing that, my chest improved, my biceps improved. So if you look at pictures of me in the early 90s, I thought I was training hard, but I had not quite learned how to like pull back and train a little bit smarter. And I improved body parts later in my life, in my early 40s.
Now, nutrition knowledge has improved a lot in the last
Absolutely.
30, 40 years. What percentage would you consider as nutrition overtraining? And what little things have you learned that have evolved for this next generation?
Well, nutrition is huge, especially in the off season for different reasons, and especially, of course, in contest prep. You want to plan your diet where you're dieting. Let's say if it's 16 weeks, I'm always going to say 16 weeks, maximum like 12 weeks, because first 2 weeks, by the time you figure out and you really get in the role, now you've got 10 weeks and then you're not really quite prepared. So you want to maintain a good diet in the off season, but you want a distinction between the off season and pre-contest so that the body says, aha, I'm doing something different here. I'm going to let go. She's eating less carbohydrates. So a balanced diet, and as you go along and as your body changes, you can see what's happening, go by the way you feel. If you need to eat carbs, eat carbs. But you have to know your relationship between your protein and your carbohydrates. What happens when I take in carbohydrates? Do my legs start to fill out? Do I get smooth? If I eat broccoli, am I having an extended stomach? So you have to, and you have to, no matter what that coach gives you, you need to know how many calories I'm taking in, how much carbohydrates, how much fat. Super important.
I figured out our problem, Tarek. It's distended abdomen from broccoli, and we got to pull water. Let me ask you this, because you see this often, and I think this is one thing that for both of you can say this has evolved, and this is in the opinion of both of my cardiologists. The big bulks that we were doing, people saying, I'm going to go up 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds in the off season, is incredibly difficult on the heart. And what you end up with after 50 pounds of bulk is a 6 to 8 pound net for your muscles and a lot of stress on your body and a lot of extra cardio and dieting you have to do 16, 20 weeks out.
Yeah, there's muscle is great, right? When I talk to a lot of doctors and they go, listen, after 40, all of us, we lose about a pound of muscle every year. So having muscle is great. But you also got to take in consideration that your heart is holding on to more weight. And that weight sometimes comes from muscle. It's a lot better to come from muscle than fat. But, you know, if you're 250 pounds all muscle, your heart needs to take care of those 250 pounds. So it's dangerous to go real high, 300, 350 pounds. And obviously, we're talking about height and all that. It varies with the person. Mike Menzer disagreed with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the interpretation of exercise. And Mike Menzer was one of those guys that you shouldn't go too big. You should be like close range, 15 pounds, and then you come down. He was one of the first ones, and he was a student of Arthur Jones. So we've known that for quite some time. I'm surprised people still feel passionate about going too heavy. What do you need? You need to pick high intensity or high volume. Then you need to have sound nutrition, like Linda, get to know your body. Some proteins work better for you, some don't. And then you gotta have, and I repeat, guys, I'm gonna be very repetitive here. You need to do your blood work. You need to, have a doctor look at all the stuff you're doing so that you can do it in a healthy, safe manner. Look at Linda Murray. Look at Dennis James. Look at, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look at Dorian Yates. They're all healthy, walking around perfectly because they're intelligent, cerebral people that knew that they would not compromise their health for anything.
Now, Linda, we normally do the mentions of our great sponsors like Global Formulas later in the show. But one thing else that's evolved a lot in the last couple generations, supplementation.
Oh, absolutely.
So when you were competing, I think there was probably 1 or 2 brands of protein.
Yes.
And I was coming up as a young athlete, and the best thing we had was Mega Mass 2000, 2500. It was Joe Weider's Puppy Chow bag with a detergent scooper that took 3 scoops and made a sludge.
Yes.
But now there's all these great things for recovery. We've got a great recovery product. There's things to intensify the thermogenesis for fat burning. How incredible is that to have these things at your disposal?
Yes, absolutely incredible. It makes a world of difference. I love, especially today for me, I live on my supplements help and assist me with anti-aging. And I wish we had what we have today. Like, it's amazing. The protein, the flavors, the way it mixes. And it's great. Athletes can actually, today you can use this to train and not do some of the substances that we're talking about. You can actually make that happen.
One of those is creatine. And now it's been the opinion of 680 individual studies that creatine has benefits well beyond bodybuilding.
Oh, yeah.
And Global Formula says it's incredibly, it's micronized and it's perfectly formulated to uptake. But back in the old days, you remember how you'd have to uptake creatine?
Yes.
You'd have to do a load phase for a few days, and grape juice was the thing. You do 5 or 10 milligrams in the morning.
Absolutely.
You were flarky
and you
as
were
all
just
bloated.
big and bloated.
Oh,
I remember
muscles
that.
were full, but you were just gassy from the grape juice.
Absolutely.
That was horrendous.
Yeah. Now, but it's amazing now. There's no excuse. There's so many great products.
And also better equipment, right? Better machines, better technology. Everything is available for you guys to feel safe. I feel very passionate about this topic. I'm doing a feature on Olympia TV with Dr. Guillermo Escalante. He is, with Cal State San Bernardino. He's an advisor for National Academy of Sports Science, and we are going to talk about health, just like the NFL. The NFL developed better helmets so that competitors wouldn't have concussions, just like the NFL taught young men, do not tackle with your head. Correct. You're going to, get injured. You don't need to play football to know that, right? I never played football and probably never will, but I know that if you tackle with your head, you can have serious injuries.
The CTEs.
Yeah, correct. So, hey, listen, I've never been on a bodybuilding stage, but I know if you take that DNP with diuretics, you are going to be in serious trouble. That's my opinion based on what I've heard from people that are a lot more qualified than me, like Dr. Guillermo Escalante, like some PhDs that I have talked to. So guys, please do your research. Make sure you know where you're getting your information.
Well, there is one final component that I have talked about at great length with a few of the best bodybuilders of our generation, including Phil Heath. And we're going to talk about that and give those secrets away when we come back on Primetime Muscle.
Every rep and every drop of sweat counts when you're chasing greatness. SteelFit is your ultimate partner on this journey. SteelFit isn't just about products, it's about performance. Abs of steel, buns of steel, and guns of steel are designed to help you push through limits. Your goals are within reach. SteelFit is for those who are committed to their results.
And we're back and talking about the recovery modalities and the other things that are so important. You think you're building when you're building. That's the building phase. You're in there lifting, and that's when the building is happening.
Absolutely. Oh, it's super important to me today. Like, I understand it completely, like never before. It's so important. Sleep, rest, the amount of rest that you take between sets. It's important in every way. It's when you're competing, when you look at an athlete, let's say, that's using some gear, what that does is it helps to recover and repair quickly. I love getting my information from athletes. Sometimes go to the athlete that maybe does not have the largest quads or the biggest biceps, or the athlete that really knows their training. They really know their nutrition. They know. So they have to. They must, like, you know where I'm going with this.
As we talk about this, I liken the process of bodybuilding to building a sandcastle.
Mm-hmm.
And you pack that sand on there, then the workout is the wave that comes up and smashes it down and hardens it up.
Mm-hmm.
But working out actually breaks down the muscles. It's the feeding the muscles after, the recovery, the sleep, the giving them time to build back up from the workout, to have all those processes happen, deep tissue to spark that big growth, the big stretches and full range of motion that allow those muscles to stretch out. There's so many parts of this. Emotionally, we don't talk about this. The emotions of that cortisol burst, like you can be in the best shape, take those Wednesday pictures before a show and look like horrible. I was going to say a different word. You look bad on Saturday morning because you got so nervous Thursday, Friday, Saturday that you just wash over.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I would always, like from year to year with my 8 Olympias, I had to ask myself,
See how she dropped
because I show up and I would have a different physique, but I know I did very similar weight training program, very similar as far as my diet, same amount of weeks, 16 weeks. And so I had to ask, why did I look different in year 1 versus in year 3? And a lot of it had to do with cortisol. A lot of it had to do with stress. A lot of it had to do with the fact that all of a sudden, when I won my first Olympia, I was at peace. It was no stress. I wasn't defending my title. And then as time goes on, I'm making more money. Now I own a gym. Now I have employees. And even though I still followed that same weight training program, that same diet, the physique, I had a different result.
Yeah.
I came out with a different result. Muscles not as full, face not as happy, or skin not as vibrant because I wasn't getting my sleep. I was not doing the things that I did prior to that. So that is so very key. And a lot of athletes will like underestimate the importance of mental health, the importance of rest and recovery. It is everything.
I'm going to agree with Linda. I also want to mention, we live in a time where the young consumer, the young bodybuilder, young men's physique competitor, young wellness competitor, they want to have success fast, right? They scroll through Instagram and, you know, the attention span is fast. Things are getting faster. So for them, they want to get to the top fast. They're looking at Nick Walker. They're looking at Samson Dauda. You know, they're looking at Isa Pereira and they go, how can I get there as fast as possible? As fast as possible is a very dangerous thing. You can get to Las Vegas in 2 hours from LA, but odds are you're going to get in a car accident and possibly die. But you can get to Las Vegas safely and surely if you take 4 hours and 30 minutes. And that is bodybuilding. You are going to go to the gym. You're going to learn about nutrition. You're going to take supplements as protein, Pro Zero. Your thermogenics, right? You're going to drink coffee and then eventually you go into a bioheat, a thermogenic that helps you a little bit more. Then you do a pre-workout, right? And then you start learning a little bit more. Maybe I'm going to do my cardio instead of the treadmill. I'm going to do the step mill. I'm going to go a little bit deeper on my squats. Hey, listen, I gained 5 pounds of muscle in the first year. The second year, Linda, I gained 7 pounds. My first show, I came in, my conditioning was not that great. I placed last. It's okay. My next show, I was in the top 5. You know, the guy that won had even better conditioning than me. But I'm learning. I'm getting there. You know, you take your Instagram pictures. People are going to like you. You cannot go too fast that you make this dangerous, okay? You can't get a 12-year-old boy to play in the NFL. He's gonna get crushed.
You bring up another great point with social media and influence and emotional health. We put ourselves out there And sometimes you get blowback. You've got to be able to withstand that. But understand, as you're prepping for a show, like there are some really pivotal top bodybuilders right now that get the support of their fans and maybe blow them up in one way, and one bad comment can tear them back down. I don't know. There's so much social media you've got to put out there to market your brand and to build your awareness. You've got sponsors that are requiring you to put out so much to keep your following up. But it's a dangerous mix on social media of how you can be torn down and trashed, threats against your family, which is unbelievable. We don't like your opinion. We're going to burn your house with your family in it.
I'm going to add something because I see I talk to a lot of the young competitors. Listen, there's going to be a day where you win a competition. Your dopamine level is going to go crazy, and your entire family and all your fans are going to think you're the greatest competitor on earth. You are not. You're not. You still have a lot to learn. There's going to be a day where you're going to place last. Nobody is going to tell you that you look great. You're going to feel sad and depressed. And you're going to think you're the worst thing in the world, but you're not. You need to kind of protect yourself from this world. Know that all the attention you're getting on social media is not going to change you, okay? Samson Dauda, when he won the Mr. Olympia, he got millions of messages. Some of them saying he's the greatest bodybuilder in the world. He's not the greatest bodybuilder of all times. He possibly the greatest bodybuilder on that year, but he still can improve. If Samson Dauda places last in this Mr. Olympia and he gets all these nasty messages, he needs to ignore and say, I'm not the worst bodybuilder. Protect yourself. Know who you are without that phone. And who you are is already worth it. Whether you win or lose, you know your importance in life. So get rid of that phone and know exactly who you are.
I've never seen motivational Dr. Phil Tarek. I like that guy.
I love that.
That's a good guy.
Yeah.
Well, you need to endure life, okay? You need to endure life, and you need to repair yourself. In order for you to endure life, you need to have supplements like Endure. Endure the criticism on social media, okay? If you're devastated because you didn't do well on the show, you can repair yourself and be better. I want you to go to Global Formulas right now. Get some of the best supplements. Back to you, Timothy.
Well, I want to change subjects before we get out of here. It's such a pleasure to have Linda with us. She's so humble, and then when she drops it, she doesn't drop it on purpose. It's just as part of a conversation. If I had that weapon in my arsenal, you would be so sick of me. You know, Tarek, when I was buying yogurt yesterday, I was thinking about my 8 Olympias. And I'm thinking, that yogurt I like is buy one, get one. As an 8-time Olympia champion, I should probably buy that.
Tim,
I would drop and drink. It would be an Easter egg hunt.
Tim, the people that have accomplished the most.
Yes.
Linda Murray, Lee Haney, Ronnie Coleman, Iris, all these people, man, they never feel the necessity to project.
Absolutely.
They never do. They never do. It's us, Tim, the insecure people that would love to be there, that would love to project. Those giants of society, they never feel the necessity.
Dr. Tarek, those are words to live by, my friend.
Yeah, it's called focus.
Well, that focus got you to where you are, and we're glad to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me again.
Tarek, always fun. This is an informative show.
Hey, I'm passionate about health. We're going to continue to talk about it. We brought the best here, Linda Murray. We want you guys to be healthy. We're going to make America healthy again.
Important to know, everybody that works to transform their bodies and be better every day, you are winning. People that step on that stage, if you get on that stage, you are a winner, and that is a beautiful thing. We thank you as always. My name is Tim Wilkins. Like, subscribe, share. Tell us what substances you think people should stay away from, or opinions that you have that we may be incorrect about. We always welcome those as well. We love your clown emojis and your poopy emojis. Thank you so much for those. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. We'll see you on the next Primetime Muscle.